everyone, and welcome to Goaldiggers. I'm your host, and my name is Miss Newlove. I'm sure you guys already know that. And as usual, I have amazing guests in the studio. But before I introduce them, I have to acknowledge my sponsors, who are Cosmic Cocktails and World Remit. World Remit are your best money transfer organization, company, app at the moment. I personally use them myself, as I always say, and money gets sent to whichever country in the world in a twinkle of an eye. Cosmic Cocktails, you can contact for all your cocktail solutions. And once again, I have one of their pre-packaged cocktails in the studio, which I'm going to give to my guests at the end so they can tell me, you know, what they think about it. Cosmic Cocktails, and as we're in COVID season, you can see that they're pre-packaged, so you can have them as husband and wife because, you know, restrictions, or with your bubble, your social bubble, or your immediate family. So Cosmic Cocktails for all your cocktail solutions. And remember, we are powered by Omega House Multimedia Company, located on West Green Road in North London, right next to Uncle John's Bakery. You cannot miss them for all your multimedia needs. And they power Omega Live TV. We are live now on Omega Live TV on Facebook and on YouTube. So don't forget to share with all your family and friends right now, because we're going to have a really great conversation with our guests. Our topic today is marriage and entrepreneurship. So share this with your family and friends. You'll definitely be inspired by my guest today. So in the studio, we have Michael and Rosalind Adonteng. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Michael and Rosalind on Goaldiggers, and they are both entrepreneurs. And Michael is a director at Medallia, which is a software company, director. And Rosalind has a few businesses which we're going to talk about. And she also has some unique talents. So as I said, guys, our topic today is marriage and entrepreneurship, and obviously they are a married couple. So welcome, guys.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
That was long. Yeah, so thank you guys for coming and, you know, gracing Goaldiggers. And Goaldiggers is all about bringing to light people that are doing great things in their various professions, societies, and in the community. And both of you are definitely, you know, doing that.
No, thank you for having us. I mean,
thank you.
You know, from both of us, it's a privilege to.
And you're looking amazing.
Thank you.
These two are fashionistas. I've known them for years, and they're always, and they're coordinated.
No, she copied me, though.
So what, do you guys plan outfits when you go out?
It's funny how it happens.
So how does it work?
How did this one work? I mean, what did you do? You had a few things come through, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a few things. You know, obviously got to represent.
Yeah.
Goaldiggers.
I just knew what I was going to wear. I just thought I need to look more smart and sharp.
You're always smart.
And then
but we didn't realise the colours were
somehow she matched with the trousers, and I'm like, you know what, it is what it is. But you know, we look good, so
you make it work.
Yes,
you make it work.
And you're always coordinating. Is that?
We don't plan that, you know. I mean, when we first met, initially we started.
We did,
yeah. But in the last 2 years, it just happens.
It does.
It just happens.
Even happens in the house, like wearing a tracksuit, and it's me. He's wearing a tracksuit. Yeah.
And do you shop together? Do you shop for him? Do you shop for her? How does it work?
Yes, she shops for me. I mean, it took her a couple of years to know my style.
Yeah.
I mean, she has the style anyway.
More like, wink, wink.
Yeah, because I think there are certain things that I'd like, but it probably wouldn't fit the exact taste. But she now knows exactly what I'd like my fitting, the colours. But I do not shop for her. I mean, she's a bit sophisticated. It's difficult for me to.
I think.
But I know when I see something that's nice, I'm like, Ross, what do you think of that? I think you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, but maybe this one, maybe that colour.
Okay.
It took me a while. I'll get there.
Yeah. Humble beginnings.
So you guys, we've got a lot to talk about today, but I think what I want my viewers to know about is, you know, how you were before you met, your childhood, how, you know, how it all happened, and the proposal, the wedding, and we're gonna go, you know,
we're going
and then we're gonna go into the businesses, because that's what I really, you know, wanted you guys on the show to, you know, because you set a good example for a married couple who also do business together, which is a good thing, especially in the times we live in today. You know, very inspiring. So Michael, how was your childhood like?
Wow. it's been a journey. If I look back, in the last few decades. So I was born in London.
Okay.
My parents met. My dad was in Germany. Met my mum in London. They got married, some point in the 70s, and
Long time ago.
a long time ago. I'm the middle child of 3 boys, and yeah, my parents decided to immigrate back to Ghana. I think when I was about 3. So as it happens, you get the vision. My dad was like, "Yeah, let's go." My mum obviously full of suit. At that point, it was just myself and my older brother Alex. My young brother wasn't born yet. So yeah, grew up in Ghana from when I was 3 to when I was 16. And when I look back, it was actually a blessing for me to have done that, because it gave me a perspective of certain things which we take for granted.
Yes.
So
a lot of people say that.
Yeah. So I mean, growing up in Ghana was, how long do we have to talk about it? It was exciting. It was challenging. It wasn't all smooth sailing like I expected it to be. But it's a blessing for me to have witnessed that side of Ghana, and it's defined who I am today. So yeah, I've got a bit of both worlds. Obviously coming back to do college here and university, and now obviously fortunate to be working for some very good companies. So it's been a journey.
What did you study in college?
Yeah, so in college, I did. It was a number of modules, but I was a science student.
Okay.
So I went to St Augustine's College. So being a science student, I did
St Augustine's College in Ghana.
Yes.
Okay.
In Cape Coast.
Yes.
Not far from the Elmina Castle. So I did science, I did maths, I did biology, chemistry, and they were my favorite subjects. Maths was in fact my favorite subject. So that again, to this day, I always say to my nephew, the world is defined by maths. So
it is.
Yeah, everything we do, right? If you think about, you go to the shop, you're looking at computing, everything is ones and zeros.
Definitely.
So again, it's a blessing for me to get that foundation, because nobody can cheat me in the shop when I need to get my change back, right? I've worked it out in my head already. I know what I've got to get back. So no, living in Ghana was a blessing, but again, coming back here, it's helped me become who I am today.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you was an academic person? Would you say
from the start, it was ingrained in me.
Okay.
My dad's mum, it was all about books, and I think as time went on, I came to realize how important that was, to be able to get close to my books.
Yes.
And when I got close to my books and I saw the benefits that it came with, I thought, all right, let me just invest more time here. So when I was at, it was boarding school, by the way. St Augustine's, I went boarding school for 3 years.
Okay.
When I was in boarding school, most of the time, I had 2 sets of friends. I have friends who, were the chilling friends,
man.
right? And I had friends who were like the books friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes the books friends would be like, "Oh, Mike, you went out last night, didn't you?" And like they're hating on the chilling friends.
Yeah.
But it was really a case of finding perspective, and
Okay.
all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? So
Yes.
I was a bit of a book long, but at the
Okay.
same time, I still
long.
like, I still like to.
But what does book long mean?
Book long means you like to study. You like to study, like to
Okay.
read. Some people just do that, purely
Yeah.
that, without having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But I was that plus still having fun.
Yeah.
Which was
you,
difficult.
Yeah, you had the balance.
I had a balance. I had a balance
Street
from
credibility.
a little bit. I mean, I was the youngest amongst all my friends. I must say that I was the youngest. I was the smallest because I was like 2 years younger than the average age to go into boarding school.
Okay.
So in terms of stature, I was still the smallest. And but yeah, I still had some cred, because the people I was rolling with were all, they had cred. So obviously, with me rolling with them gave me cred. But I would never change that. It was exciting times. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And you, Roslyn?
Wow. To match that,
I'm sure you've got a lot to match.
well, I grew up in London. I grew up in a borough called Brent. I actually lived in Kingsbury, so I grew up in a council house, two bedroom flat. Lived there with my mum and dad. I didn't really like my academics. I liked my friends in school, but I wasn't really into the kind of educational side. I think it was probably where I went to school. But I was more involved in like arts and stuff like that. So I was really involved in, I was more very creative. So I was more singing, drama, dance. My teachers knew me for that. You know, I was the one that would pull up the whole class and be like, "Hey guys, let's do an MC session. You know, let's do a rap. Let's do some singing in a maths class." My teacher would be like, "No, Rosie, it's not time for that. It's time to do maths." So yeah, that's mainly about my childhood. Got a younger brother, and yeah, grew up in London.
Okay, so how was it like being a teenager?
Being a teenager.
What were your teen years like?
I think one word I'll probably sum up is feisty. I think I was just assertive. I knew what I wanted. And I think coming from a Ghanaian household, aunties and uncles refer to me as Impenisen, which basically means like she thinks she's too known, AKA. But it wasn't that. It was just more of just I knew what I wanted, you know. Okay. And my yes was my yes and my no was my no. Yeah.
So you've always had this strong character.
I have. I believe so.
Did you notice that, Michael, when you met her?
Yeah. The first, maybe not the first date, probably maybe the second date. But to be fair, I mean, maybe I'm blessed with being able to have that intuition to be able to see someone's photo, and I can just kind of work out how that person might be.
Yeah.
And again, we'll come to the story. But I mean,
so how did you guys meet?
When I first met Rose,
pull up some duvet,
get some popcorn.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you want to tell your part of the story?
Quite an interesting
no,
story.
Go. You're already in flow. So yeah, go ahead, start.
Because I have to work back. Okay, so
yeah.
So went back to when I came back to England, back to London when I was 16. Obviously, you know, hang around with my cousins, and you know, we're just doing our thing. From 16 to probably I say 30, I was out there. Right, I was just doing my thing, doing what young boys do, you know, chilling out, going out, girls, whatever. My brother got married in 2010.
Okay.
And at that point, my brother, I always looked up to Alex, you know, my older brother, as somebody who, you know, he does certain things and I follow suit. And this was like growing up. And I mean, he was dating his, you know, lovely wife, Nana, for a very long time. Okay. But they tied the knot in 2010. Okay. Now, I remember in 2010 going to the wedding in Ghana. It was an amazing wedding. And I had that realization of, well, he's gone now, Mike, so you're next. And at this point, I had no inclination to get married, right? And I remember, you know, the penny just dropped to say, Mike, maybe you need to start thinking about having a wife, because how long can you play this game for, right? Yeah. You can be 40, 50, 60, and the game's always going to be there. But is that what you really want? So I came back, you know, we had a wedding in Ghana, came back, and I think that from that point on, my focus changed. I started thinking differently.
So after your brother's wedding?
After my brother's wedding, started thinking more about like legacy, started reading more, thinking purpose and all of that stuff. Okay. But it still took me a couple of years because I was transitioning, right? Moving from an old life to
transitioning into the new life.
Yeah, correct.
From old back to new life.
From boys to
it's from boys to men.
Yeah, it's a mindset. So anyway, how did it start? So I remember vividly one of my best friends, Olu, still good friends. Yeah. And Olu had a friend who was having his stag. Okay. And we used to go out, you know, every other weekend, and it was in Club 10. So I remember Olu rang me up and said, Mike, you know, I've got this thing, like, do you want to come through? I'm like, I'm not sure. So Mike, come. Okay. I said, all right, cool. I was living on my own at this time in Ealing. So, no, in Uxbridge, sorry. So I thought, all right, cool. Okay. Went to that event. It was one of the best nights I've ever had. We literally had a couple tables, drinks were flowing, as you do, Club 10, the music was popping. And I remember there was a group of girls that just literally gay crushed our party. Okay. So you can imagine it was just like two tables, plus a few other tables. But like we had two tables, and you know, obviously a few of the boys, and these girls came and I started talking to one of them. I'm like, where are you guys from? They're like, oh yeah, we're Ghanaian. I'm like, okay, cool. This was the start of the night. So, you know, we're still a little bit sober at that time. Okay. Anyway, cut a long story short, it was a good night. We partied together. I got talking to these girls. Okay. They actually got to know who I was as a person. Okay. And I remember saying to one of the girls, something about, you know, I think they asked me, you single? And I was like, I wasn't ish. But I said, yes, I am single.
You was dating?
Yeah, I was dating. And she was like, you know, let me take your number, and you know, who knows? Yeah, I've got somebody in mind. I'll see if she's single, and I'll try and hook you up. Okay. But you know what these things are like. You know, you hear her, you're like, whatever. So 2 months gone, I think. Yeah, roughly 2 months gone. And I remember this very, very clearly where I sat in Ealing in my apartment, and he's called Priscilla, right? Priscilla texts me, and she was like, Mike, are you still single? do you remember who I am? And obviously I saved the number as Priscilla Club 10.
Okay.
And I still got it. I still got it to this day. Yeah, Priscilla Club 10. And
Priscilla Club 10.
Yeah, and I was like, it took me a second to decide how to respond.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, I'm single, because I wasn't really actively in a relationship at the time. So then that was it. It just kicked off from there, right? Priscilla was like, can I have a picture? She's like, yeah, let me just check it with my friend and see whether she's single or not. Not long after, I get a ping on my phone, and it's a photo. Now, this is the point that I was referring to earlier on. I looked at the picture, and I was sat there like that. And I was like, wow, this girl's pretty. And something said to me, and I say something, but now I know it's the Holy Spirit, because obviously now my faith is stronger.
Yes.
But at that point, something said, Mike, this is up to you now. You can keep playing your game and living that life you live in, or you can drop all of that and focus on this person. This person that you're seeing right now is the one that would be a wife.
Wow.
And I knew that just from a picture. So from that point on, every step I had to take had to be calculated, because I kind of knew, and you know the story, right? I kind of knew it'll come back at some point where somebody may ask, how did you meet?
Yeah.
How was your first date?
Yeah.
So that's how we met. I mean, from that point on, obviously I got talking to Rosalind, you know, Priscilla introduced me to her.
Yeah.
We exchanged a few text messages. And I think like the same week, within 10 days or something, when our first we linked
the 7th day, or
something,
3 days,
something like that.
Yeah.
So did you know he was the one from the get-go?
No. Point blank. Period. No.
So what were your thoughts like when Priscilla showed you the picture of him?
So Priscilla informed me about you know, she had this this event that they went to, this exciting event. And when she told me about him, I just said, at the time, I wasn't really looking for a partner.
Yeah.
I was just too busy. I wanted to travel. I wanted to make money. I just wasn't focused on getting into a relationship. So when she did tell me about him, I said to her, nah, do you know what? I'm not ready yet. And then about 2 months after that they had exchanged numbers and, you know, they've been in contact, Priscilla then reached out. I reached out to Priscilla and I was just having a conversation. And, you know, as we women do, we're like, oh, this single life, you know, when is a man gonna come? All of this. And then you'll go to parties and your aunties will be like, so when will you marry? And the pressure was just coming up. And I thought, you know what, Ros? It's one date. Yeah. Just go on, you know, and see how it is. So she sent me the picture and I thought, I'm not sure. So anyway, we went on the date.
You wasn't sure?
No, I wasn't sure.
When you saw this handsome...
I apparently saw him. So.
This handsome man on your phone, you wasn't sure?
I wasn't sure. But that just shows you, right? Because I think sometimes as women, we have a list. Yeah. And the list is not actually what our heart actually desires.
Yeah, it's true. It's
so, you know... The list didn't match up, but my heart matched up to Mike.
So you said the list did match up.
Oh, sorry, the list did match up.
Okay, let's get that one right.
No, so my actual physical list matched up, but in regards to other parts of my list, it didn't match up. It didn't match up fully from a picture. Obviously, in terms of us having a conversation,
got you. Yeah.
Once I did meet him, it did. However, on the date, I started speaking about Christ and you know, about my walk with God and stuff. And I walked away just thinking, I've evangelized, Lord, you know, and I'm done. The date is over. You know, this ain't going to be another date. And little did I know that after that, it was going to be several dates after that and then leading on to marriage. So, yeah, no, was I prepared? Did I know he was the one at the time? No, I'll probably say no, I did not know.
So, Mike, how did you pop the question? How did it happen?
How did I pop
And at what, like, even though you knew from the picture, the get-go, that, you know, this could be my wife or potentially this is going to be my wife, when did it actually like hit you like, no, I'm going to ask this girl to marry me? This lady, sorry, not girl, lady.
You know what, it's a difficult question. However, we, as part of the dating, you know, I brought my nephew out, Ethan. You know, Ethan was something like 3 at a time. Yeah. And we all went out, myself, a good friend of mine, you know, his son, and then you came along, right? We went to Legoland or something.
We went to Legoland. Yeah. He was trying to put me to the test.
It wasn't a test, but in hindsight, it was actually a test.
You just wanted to see how she was with
I just wanted to see what she was like with children and with friends, and she did spectacularly well. I mean, she was like herself, she was, you know, playing with the kids, and all these things were seeds that were, you know, sowing, you know, unbeknown to me, were seeds, right? And then I think just talking to her, understanding she was more of there was substance more than just flash. I think, do you know what I mean? That's important to me. You know, what's your why? Do you know your goals?
Yeah.
You know, are you of Christ?
Yeah.
But at this point, we'd had these conversations, and one thing which, I mean, I never thought I'd get married. You know, from when I was growing up,
Why?
I don't know. I just never thought I'd get married.
Really?
Yeah, I never thought I'd get married. If you ask my friends, like my really close friends, they'll be like, even when they heard I got engaged, like, Mike? Like, they were all shocked. They never thought I'd get married because I was the guy that was talking people out of marriage.
Really?
Yeah, honestly.
And you see what God did.
Exactly. So I think for me, all these events, I was kind of just sussing out, can I live with her?
Okay.
Is this long term? You know, do we have a legacy? Can we build a legacy together? And you went Ghana for Raquel's wedding.
Yes.
Right, that December 2015.
Came back 2016.
You came out 2016.
Okay.
I popped the question June 2016.
June 2016.
Okay, so unbeknown to her, I'd been talking to one of her best friends, Sade.
Okay.
Big up to Sade.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just planned it. I don't know when that dropped. I think it was just gonna happen. It was a case of, Mike, when are you gonna wait for this to happen? Do it now or do it in 3, 4, 5 years? But why do you want to wait that long?
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started. Obviously, first of all, I had to go and meet the parents. You remember this is before I asked for the hand in marriage.
Oh, okay.
I had to take the parents. Well, I had to go say hello to the parents. You took me
Yes,
home.
we went to go. Yeah.
I remember it was like.
So you came home to meet my parents.
Yeah.
We had like a dinner.
And did your parents approve straight away?
No, my mum. She was not playing.
Really?
No,
she was like no.
No, she loved, you know, the look of Mike. She was just like, very handsome guy. But for her, she had some reservations as to, you know, like the age difference.
Yeah, she thought I had kids.
So what is the age difference?
So the age difference between us is nine and a half years.
9.5.
You would never have guessed.
No?
I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Even though I know, but prior to knowing, I thought you were like around the same age.
Yeah.
It was,
yeah.
I won't say who told me, but I was like, okay. She was like, oh, you know, Mike's like your age. And I was like, really? I was like, okay. But I remember the first time I saw Michael and I was like, wow. I said to Raquel, wow, that guy's fly. She's like, that's Rosalind's man, you know? I was
That's
like,
my man.
Rosalind, come on, man. I
So-
was like,
do it.
But I remember the date with your dad, when I went home, and Rosa told me about obviously her dad, and you know, very respectable man. You know, so is the mum, by the way.
Yeah.
But it's always the dad, right? If you get that green light from the dad, you're like, okay, I'm always there.
The mum,
so mum was calm.
Yeah.
But I remember your dad coming down because I was sat in the living room. Dad was coming down. This is the first time I went home, and I was a little bit nervous because, you know, I didn't know how it was going to go.
Of course.
And I heard obviously Dad was very, you know, strong-willed and very firm. But it actually went okay.
Yeah.
We had a good conversation. I think he just wanted to know what I'm about, my history, my parents, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and that went well. So post that, forward maybe 2-3 months, Sade and I were kind of plotting this, popping the question behind her back, and I had to take out the brother. I remember Bill took Bill out to this pool place, and we're having a good chat. First time I've properly taken Bill out.
Yeah.
You know, had a good meal. We're playing pool, and it was a nice vibe. And I'm like, look, this is what I want to do. You know, obviously I've got plans for your sister.
Such a gentleman.
Yeah. At this point, she told me about how close she was with her brother, and the fact that, again, if my brother gives you a nod, then we're good. Yeah. Right. My dad and my brother.
Okay.
But and funny enough, I was a bit nervous taking Bill out. I don't know why. He wasn't, you know, he was a cool guy, but I was just like, if he doesn't like me, then that could be, you know, a blocker here. Anyway, date went well, but I remember these words and I'll never forget. He said to me, it's cool, but just make sure you look after my sister, innit? Because if you don't, I'm going to mess you up.
Wow.
Literally, he said that. So I'm there and I'm thinking, bro, I hear you.
But you're such a gentleman, you know, like, and like I said, one of the reasons why I wanted you guys on the show is just because I think you're just one of the perfect couples I know. And I know perfect's a bit of a, you know, strong word, but you guys really do well and are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
So let's move on swiftly to what you guys do professionally.
Yeah, so I work as a training curriculum manager. I work with an organisation called Catch-22, and we work in association with Google. And what I do is I train young people that may have had a colourful background on how to use social media positively and effectively.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my role, and then I also have.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Is that something you started doing recently? Or
yeah, so it's recent. So I was an employment advisor before, and then recently got promoted to this role.
Okay.
So yeah, it's on a contract, hopefully with the extension. But yeah, super exciting.
No, you get the extension.
Yes, I will get the extension.
You get the
Indeed,
extension.
I will get the
Yes,
extension.
yes.
I'm sure you will. I'm
yeah,
sure you will.
Yeah, yeah, you get
Michael.
it. I work for a company called Medallia. We focus on consumer and employee experience.
Okay.
So effectively, if you think about, the simplest way to put it is if you shop from, let's say, I don't know, Boohoo or Amazon or something, usually you get a text message or an email afterwards to say, can you rate the experience?
Okay. Yeah.
So what we do is the back end of it, it's our software. But where we're different is once you do the rating in the sense of, this experience was good or you could have improved my delivery dates or whatever it may be, that feedback then goes back into our system or our software. And we then kind of uncover the different themes, good, bad, indifferent. Okay. And this software just allows, the operations team or the C-level to be able to then spot trends to say, based on these feedback that we're receiving from this particular customer or this particular organization, they may not renew with us or they may churn.
Okay.
To ensure that they stay as a customer, these are the things you need to do. And we think you should allow somebody in this team to do it. So what we do is we capture the feedback. We use our AI capability, which is machine learning capability, to then spot the trends. And then we spit out what the action has to be. So it's a software which allows, if you're an employee, it improves your experience because if something's not going well, you would voice out to the platform and then it will get fed up to somebody in HR to improve that experience. So it's even so prevalent now because of COVID. Everyone has something to say. People are feeling, different ways, and this platform is capturing the sentiments of individuals and businesses. So it's exciting times to me.
Your careers kind of interrelate, don't they?
At the moment, yeah.
At the minute, funny enough, at the minute on the digital side.
What did you study?
So I studied youth psychology and counselling at Anglo-Ruskin University. And that was just basically learning about how young people's mindset works, how they work in the community, and how they work, in terms of young people that may be involved in gangs or violence, or CSE, so child exploitation. So working with young individuals that may have come from that background. So that was kind of like my background previously before. Yeah.
And prior to your university, like your degree, did you want to work with children? Was that something?
So I always had a passion of being an advocate in schools. So I was part of like the youth parliament. I was always part of like extracurriculum activities, but always the voice for like schools. So I was like school counsellor.
Were you ever a prefect?
I was a prefect.
I was.
Yeah, I was a prefect for creativity. There you go again. So yeah, I was a prefect, and that's how I always knew that I wanted to help people of my generation and younger up and coming in the future. So I always knew that's what I was aspiring to do. And then when I used to go to like a youth club, and I remember my youth worker saying to me one day, Ros, why don't you go and study youth work? And I said, is there a course for that? Is there such thing for that? And he said, yes. Then went to look it up, and I actually found a degree, and I thought I'm going to go and study this. So first I did health and social care, and then led up to do my degree at Anglo-Ruskin.
Amazing.
What's you do again?
Anglo-Ruskin University.
Okay. Why?
Mike always forgets the university.
Did you go to uni in the UK?
Yes. So I went to Westminster in Harrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I always say that because you always confuse it for Cambridge or something, no?
Please,
not on my show. Not on my show.
In Cambridge.
Not on my show. So,
it's in Cambridge.
Okay, so we've spoken about how you guys met your childhood, and Michael spoke about going to his brother's wedding, and that being the turning point in his life, for him thinking, okay, I need to get married and blah blah. So what I wanted to ask Michael, and I don't want anyone to think this is like set in stone, it's just Michael's opinion, but at what stage in a man's life do you think he should settle down?
So again, in my opinion.
Yes, his opinion, please.
In my opinion, I think that there comes a time where you have to start thinking,
and not based on faith or anything.
No,
just
of course,
like
just
the reality,
the
realities of life.
I mean, I think you need to naturally it would appear to you that you have a reason why you're on earth, right? Everybody must have that feeling, as if you're acting or you don't. And once you start thinking about that whole legacy and that whole purpose, you need a helpmate. You need somebody alongside you to help you achieve that. And it works both ways, right?
Yes.
If someone else, a lady has it, you know, they need the support from the husband. I think from that point, if you then pursue that vision or that inherent thing that talks to you,
Yes.
then it's time to start exploring, you know, do I need to settle down with a lady?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a wedding, but obviously settling down. And that's probably what I'll say. I don't think there's an age.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a particular trigger, but I think as men, we always know, right? You always know. I mean, you can be out there and do your thing for a long time.
Yeah.
But you would have gone through seasons where you're like, maybe I've had enough of this life.
Yeah.
I need to. And for me, I didn't listen to that thing for a couple of seasons.
Okay.
Yeah, I kept kind of, it was going to happen.
But maybe it's because you needed to just live your life and.
And I think in hindsight, yes, because if I think about kind of growing up and all the, the privileges which I did not have, I think when I had time to be able to what I call enjoy life or live my best life, if you want to call it that, I kind of lived it a bit too much.
Oh, okay.
But in hindsight, it's made me who I am today. So I'm not regretful of that.
Yes.
In fact, it's built the connections that I know, whether it be professional, whether it be friends that are not professional.
Yeah.
They've all helped me develop into what I am today.
Yeah.
So, and again, if I settled for somebody earlier, I wouldn't have met Roz.
Yeah.
So I think all these things, it's not a coincidence. It's somehow it's a serendipity. It just happens.
Yes.
You just got to go with the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So leading on to my next question, which is how has marriage positively, had an impact on your life? Because before you did get married, you was already doing your thing. I'm sure you saved and you was living alone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, focus is probably one that comes to mind. It's helped me since meeting Rosalind.
Yeah.
It's helped me focus on what I really want to do, what we want to do.
Yes.
Because before you're married, there are distractions.
A lot.
Right.
Yeah.
And even these days, there's a lot of distractions. And distractions are quite obvious, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot out there, and I think once you're married, your focus then becomes, okay, my priority, obviously over and above everything else is my wife.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to start thinking, okay, once I'm supporting my wife, once I'm protecting her, once I'm helping her, and I'm providing that security for her, what's next? Then you start planning. And Ros and I, we do this planning quite regularly, right?
All the time.
Exactly. I'm a very good planner, right? So
I can see that.
so then we start to plan, and once you start planning, you got to execute. So your mind is always thinking, what's the next goal?
Yeah.
And for me, meeting Ros, I've been able to, and I say I because everything we do is together, so we're I.
Yeah.
And we've launched a number of things, and if it wasn't for that, I would have been distracted and done other things. So, I mean, it's been a huge. It's had a huge impact on my life since marrying. Funny enough, I met a couple of my boys on Friday. A couple of my uni boys. We went uni from 2001. This was like almost 20 years next year.
Wow.
Again, they haven't changed one bit. Neither of them has changed. And we were just chatting, and they were like, "So, marrying, would you recommend it?" I mean, they're both settled down.
Okay.
They just wanted to know because and I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will not change it for anything. It's not easy, but you find a compromise. Once you make it work, the good times are amazing, right?
Yeah.
And the tough times, if you manage it well, you learn and then you move on. So marriage has been good.
I can see that. So Rosalind, with you, like, I wanted to ask you, was you ready for marriage when he asked you? Because he clearly was, and like you said, there's an age gap as well. So, he was ready for you.
Yeah.
But was you ready for him?
I think, spiritually,
the marriage,
I was ready.
Okay.
In the sense of, I had been praying behind the scenes, praying for a husband, praying for the things that, that God will basically deliver someone according to basically my heart desire. Personally, I think I was ready to a certain extent, but with marriage, you know what it is? Sometimes you can never be 100% ready. I hear a lot of mums always say, you're never always going to be fully ready to have a child, right?
Definitely.
You have to, and every marriage is different. No marriage is basically the same. So you have to kind of enter the marriage and then work with it. Because I think, you know, speaking to even some of my other friends that are married, they enter into the marriage and, you know, what you'll find is maybe there's a habit, and a habit could be, you know, he leaves his socks lying all around the place, and you're not used to that, and you're like, God, you got your socks everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And you have to kind of enter it and then know, this is what I'm actually dealing with. This is what I have to work with. This is how I have to find a balance. This is how I have to go find me time, because that's very important too. So yeah, was I ready? I was ready to a certain extent, but you're never fully ready, because when you get into the marriage, things kind of hit you, and you're like, whoa. And it doesn't matter how much people may tell you, because like I said, every marriage is different. So you have to experience it and then realize. But in terms of preparing myself, I would probably say, you know, I was getting my finances in order. I was preparing myself in regards to like my mindset. How I was communicating as well was very important, because, you know, the way I communicate with my friends, I realized I couldn't bring that into the marriage. And also how I saw marriage as well. I think I had to have the starting goal in my mind. How did I want my marriage to actually look like? You know, because let's face it, like marriage, you have to put in the work. It's not going to, you can't just enter it and it's a ring.
Like I'm married, I'm like,
take some notes, guys. But you can't just enter it and just be like, oh yeah, let's get on with this, because you have to have the idea of what you want, right? How you want to make it work. And sometimes if you're not careful with marriage, it can end up stale like bread, but you have to basically make it exciting, right? You can't, you just can't allow things just to sit there and be dormant.
And it can be as well.
And it can be, you can actually start living together like housemates, rather than living together as rather than living together as married couples. So
but you guys have a good balance, because it's like I see you two and it's like you are like brother and sister, and then
we are
like, you're like lovers, and then
we have to remind ourselves
sometimes. I think what I love about our relationship is we always check ourselves. And I think one of the things I loved about Rosalind, you know, when I met Ros, was I dated a few girls before, but I kind of had my way most of the times. But with Ros, she would put her foot down. And I thought, okay, I like that. Although I didn't obviously let you see that side, I actually loved it. And that kind of just taught me that if I'm going wayward, she can pull me back. And to this day, we still do that. You know, she'd be like, Mike, you know, this thing you're doing, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? And it kind of just brings you back, like, oh, actually, you know, maybe I need to consider that. So that keeps us going. And when we feel it's kind of plateauing, like, you know, sometimes you're just, you know, you're just moving along with the times, we just check each other and say, Mike, we haven't been on a date for a while. So then it's a case of, okay, let's do this, right? So because sometimes work gets in the way, life gets in the way. So I think that realization of, we know where we want to get to, but along the way, let's just make sure we're checking in. How are we doing? How are we doing? So that really helps us all the time.
Amazing. Guys, if you've just tuned in, we are talking to Michael and Rosalind, amazing couple. Our topic today is marriage and entrepreneurship. And if you have been watching, you've heard their amazing story and how they communicate with each other, how they met, and, you know, what they did as children and teenagers. And it's just been great. So please share with your family and friends. This is an inspiring story. We are live here on Facebook and also on YouTube, Omega Live TV. So Michael and Rosalind, let's go straight into your businesses, because we've done all the marriage talk. We've spoken about, you know, I haven't even spoken about their wedding. I'm not even going to talk about that, because that was really something. Your wedding was amazing. Even though it took me ages to get there.
So the stick somewhere.
I know.
But that was one. Anyway, but so entrepreneurship, Michael. What is the difference between business and entrepreneurship? Because nowadays everybody likes to use the title, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm an entrepreneur, which is quite a new trendy word. But there is actually a difference between having a business and being an entrepreneur. So tell us all about it.
So the way I look at it is, and I'll give some examples. For me, business is kind of fulfilling a need. So that whole buying and selling, right? for example, you've got a pair of sunglasses, you've got a few of them, you buy, you make profit. That is a business.
Yes.
Business could be small, could be large, but ultimately it's about kind of buying and selling. That's kind of how I view business. When I look at entrepreneurship, I look at it as you are bringing creative and innovative ways to fix or solve a problem.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. So that is something which has not been done before, and you're doing it differently.
Okay.
Whereas business could be, someone selling sunglasses, you're selling sunglasses too. You're making £10 a head, you're also making £9 a head. You're both in business.
Yes.
Whereas if you're an entrepreneur, someone's selling sunglasses, but you've come with maybe perhaps goggles or something else, because you're thinking differently to how the other person did it, and therefore you're fulfilling that need differently.
Okay.
So it's more innovation.
Yes.
There's more creativity.
Exactly.
And that's how I look at the differences.
The difference between entrepreneurship and business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys started a nice little business together.
Yes,
Your first
we did
business.
our first.
Can you tell us all about that and how that's going?
Yeah.
And the concept behind it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think that was really just our passion, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we both had a passion. I love shoes. I will pick shoes over clothes any day. So when we first met, we discovered that we both had this passion. And when it came to the wedding, we were looking for shoes, right? And we just couldn't find. Well, Mike couldn't find his perfect shoes that he wanted to wear for the wedding, and I couldn't find my particular shoes I wanted to actually wear for the wedding. And we thought, you know what, once the wedding's sorted, let's come together and actually build a business where we would design slippers, loafers, or even wedding shoes eventually. And that's how basically we ventured out and started slippers and loafers. So yeah.
And I think it was a test in time to see how we worked together. It was literally post the wedding, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And at the same time, we had a bit of time on our hands, and I wanted to pick up a new skill.
Okay.
So Roz was taking care of all the creative side of the business, like looking at all the materials and the different fabrics and all that. And for me, it was like the website. Building it, finding web designers and all of that, linking it.
And that's a great combination, because she's the creative one and you have the IT background.
Totally. So it took us a while to build it.
It did.
It's still going.
Yes, it is.
Although we don't focus a huge amount of time like we used to do before.
Yeah.
But it is still going. It's still somewhat profitable.
Okay.
I think we need to. We've got plans of kind of relaunching it again and taking it to that next level, like rebranding and all that. So it's been good. Yeah, it's been good working together. It's been challenging times.
Yeah, it has been.
Because
we won't lie.
How do you separate business and marriage? Like, how do you do that?
I think it's about having a balance.
Yeah.
What I tend to find is Mike works in a certain way. I always call the way that he works quite rigid, because he's in corporate, and I work more kind of relaxed. I can, faff about, but then I will stay up till maybe 2 a.m. and I will get the work done. I will meet the deadline.
Okay.
Whereas Mike is kind of, this has to be done by this way, this has to be done by this way. So I think it's just about trying to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think with some tasks that we've come across, it's just been, remember, we've got our 9 to 5.
Yes.
So leaving that 9 to 5 and then coming on to do, what our passion is, can be so hard sometimes. So it's like, just leave the task. And if we need to have a day of just us, then let's have that day. But we need to come back to that task. Sometimes it was about changing environment. I think we do that now, right? We go to like Costa and have meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, we used to do, yeah.
Yeah, and we will sit down. We've got our notepads ready and we're discussing, going back and forth.
That's really good, actually. Coming out of the home setting and taking it into, like, if you were to meet your business partner.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So that's how we kind of break up the mold sometimes, or the barriers, if we realise they were basically about to start. Or
because at home can be quite relaxing, isn't it? And
that whole
like sneaking a kiss or
being in your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Come on.
Waste time on other things.
Exactly.
So Michael, you also have a blog, which I think I noticed the first time I met you and started following you on social media, that you had a blog, and I was quite interested in that, even though I never went to read it. But I was like, okay, Michael has a blog. I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah.
So can you share that with us?
Yeah, the blog again. I just wanted to learn a new skill, right?
Okay.
but the why behind the blog is I'm in sales. I've been doing sales for about coming up to 20 years now.
Okay.
And I just find
sales in IT?
IT sales, yeah.
Okay.
So like software sales, B2B sales, yeah.
Okay.
And the one thing which, again, talking about planning, I'm very much, focused when it comes to, you have to know your why in everything that you do.
Okay.
You need to know your end goal. And I just wanted to just, help the young and aspiring salespeople coming through to kind of take on board certain habits. Because in sales, if you don't have the right people to teach you the right way, you can learn. You will not get the basics, and the foundation is so key. So, the one reason was kind of giving back to the up and coming aspiring sales executives. The other side was for me again learning a new skill, and just making sure that it's funny enough. Sometimes I still go back to some of my blogs. Let's say, for example, I've got a call coming up and I'm thinking, okay, what are the things that I wrote maybe a year ago? And it's just a refresher because if it's up here, you may forget it. But if it's written down, I can just go back, read my blog. Oh yeah, these are the basic things that I said I should be doing or someone else should be doing. Let me implement that. So it's kind of writing a book, right? You go back and you kind of see what you've written. And then, oh, okay, cool. Let me go and implement. So it's just the basics. But I love writing. I started journaling 2 years ago, and as part of the journaling I moved on to blogging. So it's really just trying to maximize our time. Like when I'm in a barber shop or somewhere, or I'm always making sure I'm doing something. I'm on the commute, rather than I didn't watch something. I'm just there typing a blog.
Instead of being on
it just keeps my mind going. Just
IG live, which we all love.
Well, I do like the live too, but So the blogging is just it's a side hustle that I love doing.
So you have Slippers and Loafers as a couple, and then Rosalind, and then Mike also has his blog, and then you have your Eyelash.
I do. So I was sitting at home thinking, oh my gosh.
Because when I saw that, I was like, okay, I never knew Rosalind was into beauty.
I love lashes.
I
can wake up and just fling on lashes and call it a day. I don't need to have a full face on. A boy.
I've seen many lashes. Different types.
I'm sure literally like the house like a factory or the office, right? It's like a factory. But so I just thought to myself, one day if we're sitting at home, it's like I kind of foresaw maybe the pandemic. I just thought if I'm sitting at home one day, what could I actually do? Similar to what Michael was saying, picking up a skill. And I thought, why not go and learn how to actually do lashes? I'm always buying strips, I'm always investing the money, and I'm now getting to the mindset of let me be a big saver, do you know what I mean, rather than actually spending the money. Let's see if I can do it myself at home. So I went to do the course and I thought I actually love this, and I found it very therapeutic to do. And I just found myself getting into it, and then I thought I'm going to make a brand out of this, and that's how Lash for Lashes was basically birthed.
And how's it going? Profitable?
Yes, profitable, but unfortunately due to like COVID, it's just sort of the guidelines and restrictions of how people, because I do it from home, so having people in the household and stuff is a bit like worrying and stuff, so I've kind of pumped the brakes a bit, but I'm looking to now release out some more strip lashes so I can actually post them out to customers as well to wear in the meantime.
Instead of doing the individual.
Exactly. Wow. But love Lash for Lashes.
Amazing. The big one that we're going to talk about in depth is Coaches and Mentors Unwrapped.
That's the one.
So now, speaking to the both of you, your backgrounds, and Michael's background in IT sales, which I didn't actually know was sales, I just thought IT. But then it did actually match with one of your podcasts that I was listening to yesterday with Mark Power.
Oh yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah, so because he's into sales, isn't he? Yes. So I was thinking, okay, so he's going on and on about, I hate sales, so but it was a really good, it was actually my favourite out of the 3 that I listened to.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really liked it, and I picked up a lot of nuggets from that. So, how did the concept of a podcast, because I would never have thought of you two doing a podcast. Like never.
I don't even think we thought we'd do a podcast.
I don't think we did, no.
I mean, again, if we go back to when we first met and we got married, Rosalind's big thing was our purpose. I mean, we had marital counsellors, by the way, Reverend Nye, Julian, and they really helped us understand what marriage is. And when you marry, you got to try and birth something, right? Because many times you get married and you just kind of lose your way. So anyway, Ros and I were big on purpose, and we just kept thinking, you know, what are our strengths? So one day we did this grid, and Rosalind outlined all her strengths and her weaknesses. I did the same thing.
Okay.
And we looked at where there was an overlap. And clearly the overlap was we both love mentoring, giving back to young people.
Yeah.
We both are passionate about teaching. Rosalind's on the creative side.
Yes.
And I guess I'm more on the commercial, corporate, and also her background is, you know, helping underrepresented
young people,
people, right? So we brought it all together and we thought, okay, we get it. We see what our strengths are, but now how are we going to amplify this message and take it out there?
Yeah.
And I don't even know how. I mean, I don't know, I must have had a dream or something, but one day because I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah.
You're like the kind of person
and
that listens to podcasts.
and I was like, actually, we can actually amplify our messaging through a podcast.
Yeah.
And again, I thought, how are we going to do this? So I got researching, we looked at a few articles, and then it was during COVID. I think we had like some time together, right?
Yeah.
And we thought, let's just do this.
Yeah, what we're going to birth in this season.
We set it up. We, again, new skill learned, the back end of it.
Because your podcast is just amazing. Like,
thank you.
Sounds so professional.
Yeah.
Professionally.
Yes.
Yeah, so the technical side, I mean, how did you do all that?
Yeah.
And do you do that at home, or does someone do it for you?
Wish someone did it for us,
I wish.
Because it sounds so good.
No, we are the ones, we are the pioneers, literally from home, setting up the mic, setting up
it's all
stuff.
us.
Yeah, it's all us.
It was a lot to learn, but I think we found a cadence now.
Yes, we've got rhythm.
You know, we've got rhythm.
You got your rhythm.
It's one take now.
Yeah.
So far.
Yes.
It's been one take.
Yes.
And I think it's quite, it's demanding time-wise, I must say. Because, I mean, there are times we're recording at, 10:30 in the evening. Yeah. And you've had a whole day of working.
And you had a guest from Australia, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We did.
So how did that work?
Eleanor Moshe.
Yeah, so was it a late one, was it? Or
it was a late one.
I
think it was about 10 o'clock.
Was it
we
10?
interviewed her.
But I mean, she was amazing. She
was.
Yeah, I went to look at her page and I was like, okay.
She's
good. She's a coach for construction.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you've had a good balance because you've had people from different industries.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's funny because I hate sales, but I really enjoyed the one with Mark.
Yeah.
That was my favourite one. Like, I loved it. I was like,
Powers.
And I was like,
he's a great guy.
Okay, and I stopped everything I was doing and I was actually really listening. To that
one. Do you hate sales? Can I ask because people call you and try to sell you stuff? Is it that kind of selling?
No, it's just I don't like selling stuff or trying to sell something to someone that I personally haven't used or I don't. You don't
believe in the product.
I don't believe in the product, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Got you.
I just don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
So our selling is slightly different because if you're not passionate about what you're selling, the buyer can sense it through your voice.
Yes, exactly.
So what we do is you got to make sure you really truly believe in what you're selling, and if you don't believe it, then you got to move on to another company. So we all love what we're selling. Okay. Yeah, I'm passionate, and but yeah, I can understand.
That's different because you're selling like software, isn't it?
It is very different.
It's different from trying to sell someone a pina colada.
Which
I'm sure we could all sell.
Yeah, but it's different. Like
quench your thirst.
The process is the same, but the audience is different.
Okay.
Yes, I mean we all had to start from doing these kind of selling. I mean, you did a bit of selling yourself.
Yes, I did. I worked for T-Mobile for 5 years. Yeah,
wow.
So we all have to do that. But as you advance your career, you move into that whole what we call B2B selling.
We have a few comments that because it is an interactive show. I get carried away. I even forgot we're on live TV right there.
No problem.
So yeah, we have some comments. I'm going to read them out. And a few people watching, not a few, quite a lot actually.
Oh wow.
So Blessed Frankelina is clapping. She's been clapping. Shemat said, well done, Abner. Is that your name?
Yeah, my middle names are Abner, yeah.
Oh, thank you. And also Stephen Tufor said, awesome host. Not me. Talk about the guest. Omega to the world. Another lady here, Pri de la Creme.
Priscilla, the one that actually
the lady that brought you guys together.
we call her Cupid. Yes.
Oh, that's a lovely name.
Yeah.
Fille de la creme. Said awesome couple, awesome ministry, destined for major purpose.
Thank you.
Justina Addison said couple goals. Yeah, you guys are definitely couple goals. That's why you're here.
We strive.
Nana Obusu is clapping. Nana, I think I know Nana.
Nana's your sister-in-law.
Yeah. Oh, that's your sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't believe that.
Small world, right?
Yeah. Oh, hi, Nana. Yeah, and there's quite a few people watching, so I just had to acknowledge our viewers.
Yes, thank you guys.
That's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, so back to what you were saying, Michael.
Yeah, so I think our podcast, we are both passionate about giving back.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the concept of mentoring, it's not widely accepted, widely known. If you talk to other people, I mean, we had an experience in where did we go recently? Bath, yeah.
I think I heard that in one of your podcasts.
Yeah, and it was like they were like mentors.
Yeah, so
where do I find that?
Yeah.
So we just want to make it more widely accepted.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And the little we can do, and I think the other challenge is a lot of young people who are coming from the underrepresented background, they struggle to reach or connect with some of the execs,
yes,
right, the C-level,
definitely,
and we want to just use our platform as a medium to bridge that.
Yeah.
So therefore, we're giving back to them, and
exactly,
and so many of them are so talented. Like the young people that you talk to, they don't know what they have, and they need people like yourselves and the mentors and coaches to actually kind of get them to realize the potential they have.
I think social media has helped us learn about the power of having coaches and mentors, even though I knew about that from even when I was in college. I had my first mentor in college. She's actually an actress now in EastEnders. I've forgotten her name.
Wow, okay.
And I remember, she was because I did performing arts at college.
Wow.
But I'm a performing arts dropout. I dropped out. I couldn't hang
like
it. I liked a part of it, but I didn't like the acting side.
Right.
Yeah, but I liked the production side and the creative side, like the producing side.
Yes.
But I didn't like all the fancy drama and the dancing and the singing side.
But here you are. But Goaldiggers.
No, this is not
performing. No, this is not acting and drama.
Yeah, this is just me being me.
This is you being you. But performing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I've always been into like the creative side, the stuff, PR. PR is my thing, So,
awesome.
Yeah.
But going back to the coaches and mentors unwrapped. So I've gone off now. So yes, how important has it been in your own careers having coaches and mentors? Like, can you give us some examples of where you've had a coach or a mentor?
Yeah.
And you've had a specific goal, like a specific goal why you had that coach or mentor and, the end result of that.
Yes.
Just so that our viewers know. Because it's good to give real life examples.
No, I totally agree. So, I mean, I'll take this question.
Yeah.
If you can add to it. I mean, when I look back, I used to work at a company called Rackspace. I worked there for 5 years. I joined in 2010. I always had a goal to move up from. They have different levels. When you start, you're call it a junior account executive, which is a salesperson.
Yeah.
And then you kind of move up to what they call the enterprise.
Okay.
The enterprise is where you're selling like complex solutions to some very large organizations. I always had a goal to kind of have that, internal progression.
Okay.
And when I joined, I remember one of the leaders that interviewed me. We struck quite well in my interview. He was reading the same book as I was reading, which was 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey.
Okay.
So we struck. He was like, "Oh, do you read that book?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm reading that book." And I literally spat out the whole 7 Habits, and he loved me from that point on. But I loved him because he was a motivational speaker and he was somebody who thought methodically and a process-driven guy. So I think 2 years into my tenure within Rackspace, I went in and I said, "Look, I want you to become my mentor." And I knew my goal. And one thing about mentees that we always advocate to mentees is having that plan for themselves, because a mentor can direct you, but you got to know what you want.
Yeah.
And I knew what I wanted.
Okay.
So I kind of mapped it out. I sat down with him. He helped me understand, what I need to do.
And he was a mentor or coach. And also, what is the difference between a mentor and a coach?
So a coach is somebody who ultimately helps get the best out of an individual to become the best version of yourself. And they do that through asking questions rather than telling you how to do it.
Okay.
So they ask questions to direct you to that goal.
Okay.
Right. So that's effectively a coach, right? It's really kind of, you know, a lot of leaders will get coaches because they don't know where they're going. They know where they're going, but they need somebody a different eye, somebody to put them to say, have you done this? What about that? And you got to go away and do your thinking yourself.
Okay.
But when you're doing the thinking, you're learning. So coaches kind of just prod you along to where you want to get to. Mentors, on the other hand, are people who typically they don't tend to charge you. Coaches will charge. Mentors tend to be a free service. It's a giving back from a mentor to a mentee. But the relationship is effectively a mentor is somebody who has been down the path where you want to go on, and you've looked at them and thought, I want to be there in 10 years' time. Let me follow that pathway. So you reach out to them, tell them what you want to do, and typically you get them saying, yes, I want to support you. So mentors typically will, in some ways, tell you how to do things and guide you as opposed to getting you to think about it.
Okay.
Depends on what kind of mentoring, right, that you have. But
so what would you say is better, taking away the charging aspect?
Yeah.
What would you say is better, or does it depend on what you want to do?
I think it depends. I mean, if for me, I've got both, right? I've got both. I've got a coach and I've got a mentor.
Okay.
Just because, you know, from a career perspective, I've got a mentor in my career.
Okay.
From a sales perspective.
Hence why you're a director.
Well, we're trying. From a sales perspective, I have a coach.
Okay.
So my sales coach will coach me in terms of,
I get it.
okay, if I was you, I would do it this way. And the reason why is because of the. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. I'll always encourage people to, if you can afford it, get both. But of course, you've got to know what your end goal is.
Yes.
And how do you have boundaries with, I'm trying to think, mental coach? Both, like, you know, boundaries, like not crossing over certain, because, you know, like, especially with women, you know, we get attached.
Yeah.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
So, like, we could get, not like emotion.
Like familiar.
Yeah, a bit too familiar with coaches and mentors. So how do you create the boundaries, like you going forward with a coach or mentor and not telling them too much, like not telling them what they're not supposed to know?
Yes. Yes. I mean, how do you do it, babe?
I think it's about setting boundaries. You know, so I think like Michael was basically saying, we had a marital coach to start off with, because we had marital counsellors, but they were coaches. Really,
they were coaches, yeah,
because they basically guided us along the way to us getting married.
Not paid coaches.
Not paid coaches.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Because that's different a bit. Yeah.
But it's just, and I've also got a mentor myself who I recently just discovered, Elaine Cunningham Walker, who's fantastic. So I guess it's just about me. Yes, you know, she is. Just putting that out there. But it's about, you know, setting boundaries. I think it's about where you want to go. Yeah. And it's about what you're actually coming together to discuss, right? So, but then again,
just stick to that.
Just stick to that. Yeah.
So if you've got a coach maybe or a coach for your finances, you just keep it. You don't have to talk about your marriage. If you have coaching or counselling for marriage, then you just focus on the marriage. Or if you have coaching for your career, like, so with your coaches or mentors, you just focus on the reason why they are your coach and mentor, and that's it.
And I think it's nice to have that, because you don't get familiar with one person. You know, it's like your mum having to tell you, oh, do this, you know, when you get married. Do this when you start a job. You're too familiar with your mum telling you these things, right? So it's nice to hear someone that's experienced something and different views on that, so you can cultivate that and know, I'm not going to take that turn, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, rather than hearing from one person. I mean, along the ways, you know, Elaine has dropped some nuggets to myself in regards to, you know, how she's gone about certain things in her personal life, which, you know, has been fantastic.
Like I said, that's us being women.
Exactly. So I think that kind of drops along the way, but it's as you're kind of led to, right?
Sometimes also the cadence, right? You've got to agree, you know, for example, a coach, you're paying for their services. And if that means 1 hour a week, that 1 hour, you're not going to be talking about your family life. I mean, you do the pleasantries at the start, but that's like real quick.
Yeah.
Once that's done, let's go on to why we're here.
Yeah.
So that hour, they got to maximize it for you, because otherwise you're paying for their time.
Yeah.
So I think it's just agreeing the cadence, and again with the mentor, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I mentor a couple, a lady and a couple other guys right now.
Okay.
And we haven't agreed set time.
Okay.
But with that, it's because they don't have other mentors in other, facets of their lives. It's kind of me, and I try and cover everything.
Okay.
So we have set topics that we're going to discuss. So for that, if they open up, about something, it's confidential.
Confidential, definitely.
I won't tell Roz, I won't tell anybody.
Of course.
You don't tell me what goes on with. So it's really that. It's just a trust relationship.
Yeah. I think it's about building a rapport and testing the waters and seeing, okay,
Correct.
can I trust this person
Correct.
with this type of information? So, yeah.
There's so much that I want to cover, and there's so many questions that I have that I haven't asked you, but we are running out of time, unfortunately. So quickly, to wrap up, I want you guys to give us some tips, like our viewers, some tips on how to maintain the healthy marriage that you have. How to just keep things healthy, the balance.
Yeah.
I think you've probably mentioned and dropped a few nuggets during our conversation, but just to summarize.
Yeah. I think for me, I would probably say being a wife, keep it fun. It doesn't have to be boring. And if you find that, obviously right now we're in a situation of a pandemic. Well, we're in lockdown tier 2. Sorry, must I say? Sorry, let me get it right, Boris. But it's just about having a balance. And also you can't go out on dates and stuff like that. So make the date at home.
Yeah.
Do like a painting date or something along those lines. So having fun with it. Secondly, I would say don't be such a nag. I know women, like you mentioned even earlier, we can talk a lot and you can complain a lot, but it's not everything you need to basically complain about. Some things, just park it. It's not everything, every niggly thing you're going to pick at. And thirdly, I would say, make sure God's at the center of it. That's
the big nugget.
That's the big one. Without that, it wouldn't work. He's on our foundation and he's helping us build to get somewhere. So I think that's it from me.
I mean, my addition to that would be, first of all, God, the foundation. I mean, first of all, it was a bit uncomfortable having to pray with Roz when we first did it.
Yeah.
But once you get it out, you're comfortable, right? And now we do it
all the time.
Literally, we do it all the time.
Yeah.
We try and do it most of the time. If not, I do solo. She does solo, and then I'm like, babe, let's pray together. So praying is key. The other thing as well is you've got to identify a purpose, because you've got God, you've got purpose, and you've got love. That's how we look at it, right? From marital counselling, we thought, what's going to keep us together? Because we're not in this for flesh. It's not love.
Yeah.
Love it just comes. Like someone else can go and love someone else, right? But if you've got God in the center, it's that end goal, right? So God being the first, second being the purpose. We know our purpose, and our purpose is to what? Help young people, give back.
Hence your podcast.
Yes.
So where can we find? Like, that's the most important thing of this whole conversation is, where can people find your podcast online? How can they listen? I listen. I'm not a podcast person, but I was really engaged. It's hard to engage me. Yeah. But I was really engaged. Awesome. And I thought in the beginning I'm just listening because I need to find out what the podcast is about to talk about. But then I actually started listening to all of them. Yeah. And I'm going to listen to the other 3. So where can people... And it really made me, check myself and go deep within and question myself, and also made me think about my children and the things that I can't do for them and where I need to get mentors and coaches for them. Do you understand? Totally. Especially being a single mother, it's so important. Totally. So where can people find you on social media? Well, we are on Apple Podcasts as Coaches and Mentors Unwrapped, and we're also on Spotify as well. You can also find us on www.cm-unwrapped.com. And on Apple and all the other Stitcher and Podchaser and all these other platforms, it's spelt coaches, as in COACHES, the and sign. Yes. And then mentors, MENTORS, and then space unwrapped. And this is going to be big. Listen, anyone that comes on my show and has left, they go to another level. So thank you. This show is going to be big. Awesome, thank you. Like I said, I'm not a podcast person. But when I listened yesterday, it made me realize why people listen to podcasts. and how they can, you know, get into the brain other than read it, because I'm not really a book person either.
Yeah.
But yeah, so podcasts definitely for me. You guys podcasts definitely for me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
And it's
much.
not boring, guys. It's actually entertaining.
You try and put some personality in there, right?
We do.
You do
try.
pick up a lot
You do try.
of nuggets from it.
We do.
And what I picked up is that you always need coaches and mentors in your life, regardless of your age. You know, where you're coming from, it doesn't matter. You know, it's all about where you're
1000%.
going, you know, and where you want to go in life.
That's
Totally.
right.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's right.
It's been amazing having you guys on the show.
Thank you for having us
You know
on the
what?
show.
Like, as you guys were talking, there's so many things I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to go off track. I wanted to stay within the theme of marriage and entrepreneurship. Even though we didn't really go into the entrepreneurial side too much, we were more on the marriage. But I mean, I love a good love story, so
That's fine. We're always up for
guys,
it.
I'm gonna give you one of these.
Oh, can't
Oh,
wait.
thank you.
Please staring at that face.
I'm gonna give you one of these.
Thank
so
you.
Thank
take
you.
one each and give it a good shake. Get
you.
into it.
Thank
Let
you.
me try it. This one looks like it's got more pineapple.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So get into that. Let me know what you think after the show. And
Yes.
guys, thank you for watching. It's not too late to share. The show is always available on Omega Live TV on Facebook and YouTube. We also have an interactive new website. It's www.omegalivetv.com, and on the website is latest news. So like I said, it's interactive and it's combined with our social media platforms. We're on IG, Instagram, and also on Twitter at Omega Live TV. And Goaldiggers is now showing on Channel 7 on Sky 182. So if you want to watch all the old all the old shows, you can go and watch on Channel 7 182 on Saturdays and Sundays at 2 p.m. and on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. So we have to go. We've had Michael and Roslyn, our entrepreneur married couple, in the studio, and as they said, they have an amazing podcast called Coaches and Mentors Unwrapped, so make sure you check them out. And I will be back in 2 weeks' time with another amazing guest in the studio. So until then, goodbye everyone, and don't forget to also follow us on IG and Twitter. Like I said, it's very important because there are new platforms. Get tweeting with us, interact with us on Instagram. Thank you for watching.